Hello, everybody. Welcome to IronGeek cast number 216, The Dark Side of Ransomware.
I thought that was a really clever name. Autumn kind of came up with it, but I'm taking credit for it, and it's mine now. All right, so as you guys know, Darkside Ransomware Group decided to screw with the pipelines, and now the price of gas is going up in the U.S., and now people are actually kind of like paying attention to ransomware and like InfoSec, which they weren't before as much as they should have. And we have like tons of stuff to go through with the whole show notes today, but I figure we'll start off the cast just bullshitting a little bit because bullshitting. So, Mr. Adrian, I've been not necessarily very good about being on the cast for the past 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, I've noticed we was basically shoot the shit for an hour and a half, and that's pretty much been what it's we've been doing.
Gotcha. So, the TLDR is I moved from New York over to Oregon, and now I'm here. And as somebody in Oregon, I needed to like find a new place to live and go through all that shit. So it took a while.
You didn't die of dysentery along the Oregon Trail?
What?
You didn't die of dysentery along the Oregon Trail?
I did not die of dysentery along the Oregon Trail.
You know the old game, Oregon Trail?
I am familiar. Did you know that they're actually remaking that game? And the remake of that game is supposed to have more Native American inclusion.
Okay.
And, indigenous people representation. Yes, they're indigenous. I thought indigenous peoples was what Canada called them.
No, that's just the political correctness term.
First Nations.
Changing the political correctness term, though.
First Nations, I think, is the Canadian term for some of the tribes up there.
Yeah. First Nations, yeah. That's a cool name, though. I like that name. It does. Like, we are the First Nations! Rock on! So, today I'm going to be, in addition to our regular show notes, showing you guys the sites used by some ransomware groups that are currently in the news and what their data they're leaking and allowing everyone to see. I figure that might be something people might be interested in seeing. I'm also going to cover a cool little leak I came across recently, which is all of the FBI's contact info for everybody who works at the FBI and what, essentially it has their name and their phone number and their job title and their email address, which is pretty useful, I guess, if you want to contact the FBI for some reason, or maybe troll the FBI or whatever. But that leaked recently. And that's also fun to go through. So without further ado, we'll, I guess, get into the show notes, unless you have some stuff you'd like to add, Adrian.
Nope.
Awesome. So doesn't look like there's anybody else here besides me and Adrian. And we got Cameron watching. Cameron's a good friend to the cast. Back in the day when I didn't have access to a lot of resources, Cameron was nice enough to share some of his books with me, which I greatly appreciated. So, Cameron's a good dude. All right. Sharing screen. And let's share a window. Let's share StreamYard window. No, that's a bad idea. Let's try this again. Share.
I think I like the original title for this episode, which was something like Return of the Frank.
Oh, yeah, Return of the Jedi, and then it had in parentheses Frank is the Jedi. I thought it was funny, but other people might have thought that was kind of gay. So I took it down. I think Return of the Frank is pretty good. All right. Exactly. So can you currently see my screen, Mr. Adrian?
Yes.
Awesome.
And I'll work on getting my background off there because, quite frankly, my background I chose was really loud.
Loud background. Oh. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Cool. So, starting with the first event in the news, we're going to talk about the pipeline attack. And we're going to start with the analysis by Briefing Computer and by Lawrence Abrams here. Now, Colonial Pipeline is the largest fuel pipeline in the U.S., and it has shut down operations completely after suffering what is reported to be a ransomware attack. They transport refined fuel products from between refineries in the Gulf Coast and markets throughout southern and eastern U.S. They transport about 2.5 million barrels per day through its 5,500-mile pipeline, and about 45% of all fuel consumed on the East Coast comes from this one pipeline. So when this pipeline, it was announced this pipeline got shut down, what people did was they panicked and they went to the pumps and they filled up as much as they could, causing an artificial scarcity in the market, and the price of oil for everybody shot up because people were buying it, not realizing that it's most likely going to be back in operation within a few days, according to their press release. So essentially, we had people raise the price of gasoline by creating artificial scarcity because they're panicking. And if they hadn't done that, well, nobody probably would even have noticed 2 or 3 days without oil being delivered. You know, we have like reserves and stuff for that kind of contingency, but that's what's going on. So, Adrian, do you have anything to say about that?
Not really.
All right. So we found out recently the name of the group behind this is Darkside. Darkside Ransomware Group has been around for a while, about a year now, maybe 2 years. I don't know. August of 2020, according to the article. And they tend to go after high-profile places. Like, they don't go after little mom-and-pop shops. They go after things they think they're going to get money for, like a car rental place, a residential set of like buildings, CompuCom, whatever that is. Like, they go after big name things they think they're going to pay out. They don't just go after anybody. They're kind of like spear fishing, but for targets, so to speak. Like, not necessarily spear fishing individual people, but picking their targets very carefully, like you would if you were going to spearfish somebody, you know? So FBI has confirmed that Darkside is responsible for this, right? And if we were going to look a little bit more into Darkside and go on Tor, which, as y'all know, is don't go on Tor if you can help it. We can find that the Darkside ransomware group, if we go look at this listing of ransomware group sites, has their own little site, right? So if we go to their site, we can take a look at what they're sharing and what they're essentially saying stuff. So they have a couple other sites they've hacked. They're sharing data from. These people obviously didn't pay, right? So you got 600 gigs of data from imagetech.com. They've hacked Mora.com.vr, INH Brown Limited, Smile Brands. That sounds like somebody makes like toothbrushes or something, right? Or maybe they're like a dentist's office. Who knows? Carolina Eastern, NASDAQ, DXYN, the Dixie Group. They hacked the Dixie Group. I guess it's probably a law firm, right? A siding company. Yeah, lots of places have been hacked. Not just this pipeline, but this pipeline is definitely a big one. And guess what? They have mentioned the pipeline on their site, probably because they paid, which would mean if the pipeline paid, right? That's certainly saying something about it's going to encourage ransomware groups to do this kind of shit more, and two, the government's not going to be happy with them for paying a ransomware group. But the fact that it doesn't show up on the ransomware group's site at all probably means they paid the very initial ransom letter. So I don't know, certainly interesting stuff for me as a computer geek, but the rest of you maybe not. The next thing I wanted to talk about was another ransomware group that is in the news lately. And these guys, we are also going to cover the rest of these articles, but DC police, they were attacked by the Babook Locker ransomware group. And there was a really cool bleeping article about this earlier today, but then it disappeared off their site for no apparent reason. But I went to archive.org and grabbed it anyway. And now archive.org doesn't have it anymore. All right. That's just great. But that was a good write-up. It did exist at one time. And maybe... Yeah, they killed it. They killed all of it. That sucks. What? What websites are back up?
The pipeline page, the website back up.
Okay. Thank you. I was saying, Believing Computer seems to have taken their article on this down, which I don't understand why they would do that. Maybe there were some inaccuracies in it, or maybe they leaked info they shouldn't have. Who knows? But the cops were hacked. That's DC police, right? And it was in the news earlier. And if you are to look on the Babook guys website, the guys who that particular ransomware group, they're called Babook, right? So we go and take a look at their site where they do their leaks. We can see that that they do have that police data, and you can download it because they haven't paid. They're literally like, hey, you still have the ability to stop this, and now they've leaked part 2. So part 1 consisted of a small, like 1.2 gig file. This one's like 28 gigs of data, and if they keep leaking, the next one's probably going to be even larger than that. Now, I haven't had a chance to actually physically pull down the second file. I pulled down the first one, and it's protected by a password. I am kind of curious to see what's in here. We're just going to take it and pop it in a temp folder, right? And it wants the password. Luckily, when I was on the site, I found the password. I'm going to take that right there and copy that and see if I can extract it and see what's on here. Boom. It looks like it's a bunch of applicant profiles. And that's probably something we shouldn't view live on the cast. But if you are so inclined, there's a lot of crap that was in there. People's names, I guess those are probably police officers, and their applicant profiles. These are, I guess, the examples that they picked. I imagine there's a lot of personal information in these, so we're not going to open it live on the cast. But nonetheless, I mean, that's not good. And that's probably just the sample data they decided to leak. There's a lot more in the second one that it's going to take a while to pull down, especially through Tor. Yep. And this is them talking with the victims, and they always publish the pictures of that, which I find funny. And, yeah. So that's available. It's in the show notes if anybody has Tor and wants to pull it down. These are the 2 links. You know, and it's like 2 days to download it. Obviously, by the time 2 days is up, it's probably not going to be hosted there anymore, and it's probably going to fail to download about halfway through, as it usually does. And then you just have to play with a corrupt file and see what you can get out of that. But, yeah, so that's the second attack I thought was interesting in the news. And, I mean, it's the DC Police Department. So if they leak all the internal stuff that's in there, they could expose, like, agents and, like, you know, narcs and all sorts of shit. So that could be a really big one. That list of ransomware groups that I was using is over here if you are interested and want to grab that. That's an onion link. Fake Telegram installer I came across myself. I was looking to install Telegram desktop, and I literally went to the website Google, and I did a search, which I know I should use DuckDuckGo all the time, right? But the very first search result was for this Telegram desktop.xyz site, and me being mindless and a doofus clicked it, and then I downloaded an executable, and guess what? That executable flagged up AV like a Christmas tree, because that's not the real site for Telegram. This is. And this somebody bought ad space. They cloned the site, so it's an exact copy. And then the download link brings you to a different downloader, and that downloader is infected. It will probably install an actual copy of it, but also install a bunch of crap in the background. So I would highly advise not downloading Telegram that way. Next, we have pretty much everybody who's using Microsoft Office 365 has been hacked. Like everybody who's using Outlook via O365, they've all had email breaches because we're talking 85% of their business customers are affected by this. And this goes back to, what's it called? 67% of I did. Yeah, I don't know where they get their metrics from. I didn't really read the article, honestly. But then again, like humans are the weakest link. Of course they are. 93% of businesses who use the service report negative impacts following an email breach. Yada, yada, yada. Who cares, right? It's mostly a sales article to get you to buy shit. But odds are those numbers are not so far off, especially considering recently we had that Microsoft Exchange server attack, that proxy login attack. Who's to say it couldn't have been adapted for Microsoft's own hosted solution, right? I don't know enough about it to say whether it could or couldn't, but I'm going to make a baseless accusation and see if somebody calls me on it. Next, we've got Dogecoin Shenanigans. So Elon Musk has been pushing Dogecoin, which is a joke cryptocurrency. And what I find hilarious about this is Dogecoin has an infinite supply. You can keep making it. You can mint as much as you want, unlike Bitcoin, where it's a limited supply. So people keep buying Dogecoin like it's just going to go up because Musk says so. But I'm pretty sure this is a giant pump and dump, and eventually the bubble's going to burst, and lots of people are going to lose lots of money, which is why I don't think it should be listed on the market at all.
Someone was saying that if this was regulated, if this was like one of the regulated markets, well, some of the things Musk said might be illegal. Also, did he say something on Saturday Night Live that caused Dogecoin to tank for a bit?
I don't know. I actually honestly didn't watch it.
Me neither. I didn't even watch the skits yet. I've seen like very short segments in other people's videos.
All right. Too Musk power for one man, the node. Right. So with Dogecoin being like super popular, some dudes decided we're going to make another cryptocurrency and we're going to call it Shiba, as in Shiba Itsu, like this dude right here, the dog, right? And this cryptocurrency just took off like a rocket ship because it has some tangential relationship with Dogecoin. It's essentially a Dogecoin clone, right? And it was worth nothing, and now it's worth a shit ton of money because it's got people are like, oh, so it's like Dogecoin, not understanding Dogecoin is stupid to begin with. And they're like, okay, well, Dogecoin went up really high. Let's all buy this. And now this is all going up really, really high. It's a pump and dump. I mean, I don't get how people don't understand and see it for what it is. It is literally just a bunch of rich people putting their money in a pool and then telling poor people, put your money in the same pool. And then when all the poor people put their money in the pool, the rich people take all the money out, and then the poor people are left with shit. I mean, it's a pump and dump. It's the oldest scam in the book. So, anyway, that exists now. This is the cryptocurrency Shiba. There's an article just on that right here. So crypto just launched Monday and now has a market value of $35.8 billion because people are morons. It's trading about 289 coin. Its founders are the Definity Foundation, intent for Internet Computer. Definity Foundation, intent for the Internet Computer should become in effect a decentralized version of the Internet. The Internet Computer blockchain, they're calling it, uses smart contracts, just as Ethereum. So it's something like it's faster than Ethereum somehow because it uses slightly different technology. I don't care. Nobody cares. Another cryptocurrency that's somewhat like Ethereum that's being named something so that people think it's related to Dogecoin, and then people buy it because Dogecoin's hot, so let's buy this shit too. It is powered by Ethereum, so that would mean it's on the it's using the Ethereum blockchain. Well, like it's their version of it, and yeah, it's definitely not worth that much money. So all these people who are putting money into it, such as Alderice Horowitz and Polychain Capital, they're the ones who are going to get out first. So if you watch what they trade, and you probably can find a way to do that, maybe, when they get out, you get out, and then you save yourself a lot of money because like it's going to go up. And
you still have your GameStop stock?
No, I sold all that shit. I sold all my stocks, all my Bitcoin, everything. Yeah, I needed money for a move, so I just sold everything. Amazon pulls fake Chinese products. I found this interesting because I bought shit from Amazon before and buy a name brand, and then you get a package that's definitely not that name brand, but has that name brand on it, like cheap Chinese knockoff shit.
I've gotten a few things that have Apple logos on it, even though it wasn't advertised as being from Apple. When I got it, it had an Apple logo on it, and I have a couple knives that say SOG on them, but I'm pretty sure they're not made by SOG because I can't find it anywhere in the catalog, even the decommissioned stuff. I don't believe. Wait, I don't know if I checked all of that. But anyway, I can't find it anywhere in the catalog. So I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure this was made in China and just a SOG name slapped on it. So,
Yeah.
really, though, these two are all pretty nice, all things considered. But
yeah. This article goes on to say, if you ever bought like power banks, water bottles, toys, or other goods on Amazon, the chances your suppliers are from China is pretty high. Analysts have estimated about 75% of new sellers in January were from China, up 47% from the year before. Chinese sellers are swarming not just Amazon, but also eBay, Wish, Shopee, Alibaba, and AliExpress. And there's a lot of get-rich-quick optimism going across the border, because like if you can buy an Amazon product and you think you're gonna get like the same quality shit and it's like half the price, you're gonna buy it on Amazon rather than like some other site, right? Especially with their free shipping and their whole supply chain, right? And the 2-day stuff, that's nice. But if you're expecting to buy something that's legit and then you get the piece of shit, right? You're gonna be pissed, and that's gonna cut Amazon's bottom line because the returns cost them money, you know. So Amazon went pretty much on the warpath recently and decided to pull hundreds of thousands of products right out of their own warehouses that were just cheap Chinese knockoffs. They just pulled them out. Like, you know, I don't know if they threw them away or if they just sold them to somebody else or whatever, but they are no longer available for sale, a lot of these things. And Amazon didn't say whether it was why they did this essentially, but the fake reviews is another thing with Amazon. I used to be a member of a site on Facebook, right? Somebody messaged me out of the blue and was like, hey, you want a free power bank? And I was like, fuck, I'll take a free power bank. They're like, yeah, just go on Amazon. And they sent me a link and I checked it out. And it was a friend. It was like a rando. He's like, hey, I got this free shit. Why don't you get free shit? And they literally just paid me for my review. Like, I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. You know? So I bought the power bank legit price, and then I sent them a screenshot of my review that said this is like the best power bank in the world, and then they literally just sent me an Amazon gift card for the price. Yeah.
Another thing I've noticed about Chinese trade practices is the things they list on specs can't exactly be trusted. Like if you order a laser pointer, whatever milliwatt it says it is, it's probably ain't. Delty, you're making weird noises.
Delty, you sound like Vader, man. Is the Force with you, Vader? Lord Vader? And now he's quiet. Ooh. All right. Next. So Amazon pulled a bunch of these like fake products, right? Which is good because it means you're less likely to buy shit when you get on Amazon now. At least like for a month or two, maybe, right? What the fuck? Do we have to mute you, Delchi? Yeah. There we go. This one I found really interesting. This BBC article is about a scam that was so successful, run by the Nigerians, that they're now teaching it in their schools to kids. Right? It's like this scam was just so good, we're going to teach everybody about it. And then nobody's going to need money because we can just have everybody scam. You know, this dude in the picture right up here, very happy man, Nigerian man. He owns a mobile phone accessory shop in a computer village in Nigerian main city Lagos. The shop, everything in it, was given to him by his boss. He worked for him without payment for several years, learning the trade, and then the boss just gave him the shop, right? He was born to farmers, yada, 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 went to secondary school. Nobody cares. We just want to get to the meat and potatoes of what the scam is, right? So the People's Club was a popular social club formed in the town of Aba in 1971. Is also credited for kickstarting many apprenticeship schemes. The ethos of the club is Anye Hana Nawane Ya. Don't leave your brother behind. It was a social economic movement that designated an economic template of how they could move out of the ruins of war and begin a new survival yada yada yada. I got nothing after 7 years. So a lot of people would do this apprenticeship thing and not make any money, and like literally just work as a slave for 7 years, thinking they're gonna get shit and then not get shit. This businessman up here says, my boss called me one day and told me that he couldn't afford to pay me. He prayed for me and asked for me to start hustling for myself. It was very difficult at first, but yada, yada, yada. Scam, scam, scam. There was something about a scam in here at one point. All right. The Igba Boy Scheme. It is called. There it is. Okay. Let me just skim. It's essentially the apprenticeship scam, as they're calling it, where like they find people who okay. They leave their family and they go and live with a successful businessman for a bunch of years on the premise they're going to be apprentices. They're not paid for their work. They're just like unpaid. I guess they get like room and board, and they're supposed to learn a trade. I don't know. I think it's pretty much like, let's give the billionaires a bunch of slaves who don't know any better. I think they're going to be millionaires too. It relies on the goodwill of the employer to look after the apprentice, and there are lots of these rich people who are not actually looking after these apprentices. He prayed for me, yada yada yada. It's just like the same article in a different place. But long and short of it is they're trying to teach this scam now in schools where it's like, hey, you really want to be successful, you go work for a rich famous person for free for 7 years, and then maybe if you do a good job, they'll be like this guy who just gave a store to this guy. Or maybe you're gonna end up like that businessman who then was told he had to go start and like be on his own and like didn't really learn anything. But either way,
7 years is 7 years a biblical reference? Because I seem to recall one of the patriarchs, he made a deal where he was going to be the indentured servant of this one person for I think 7 years to get his daughter as a wife, and then he gave him the wrong daughter. Then he had to work another 7 years or whatever it was. Or am I totally misremembering numbers?
I'm not really a Bible scholar. Autumn, that sound good? Okay, excellent.
Was I wrong or right?
I don't know if you're wrong or right. She did not acknowledge my existence.
Someone in the chat, go ahead and just let us know.
It sounds like it would be a Bible story. It sounds like kind of shit that's in there.
Well, I know the story's true. I don't remember the exact year count, but I remember this one of the patriarchs got kind of screwed over when he was trying to get a wife, and he got the wrong one, then he got a different one. And imagine being that first one though. And then you find out, oh, he really wanted my other sister. Shit,
wrong sister. Does that mean you got both sisters? In which case,
yeah, eventually, yeah.
Huh.
Well, I mean, the patriarchs had multiple. I don't know if they all did. I need to
like get a harem or something.
Those you had multiple wives. I mean, the ancient Jewish people, the Israelites, yeah, they had more than one wives. Or sometimes a wife and some concubines.
So this article here is talking about how this group called Lemon Duck has adopted the exchange vulnerabilities in their new attacks, and they're using the exploits for Exchange server that we've talked about recently, like proxy login, in order to essentially they've weaponized it and they've made it part of like their botnet, and they're also using like Cobalt Strike once they pop something, but they are using custom written Exchange server exploits, probably written based on some of the code that was leaked, a while ago. Also, once they're inside, if they don't find anything of value, they just toss XMRig on there, and then at least they're earning some cryptocurrency. XMRig is able to be configured to mine a bunch of different cryptocurrencies, just not XMR. But I mean, that's what they're using. They're also doing lateral movement, SMB Ghost, the Kernel Blue. Essentially, all the nation state paid for exploits that have been leaked through one means or another that used to be tools of government and the nation-state actors, and now are just freely available for everyone to play with. Cobalt Strike, I'm seeing more and more used by attackers. It is a really well-written program if you are like, if you essentially want a GUI representation of what's in Metasploit framework with a few other cool things like malleable C2 tossed on top. It's Raphael Mudge did a really good job writing that program. It makes it really easy to hack shit without actually understanding what you're even doing. Like, you can be a dumbass and use this program and probably get a shell on something if you're on a network and like you're on the same LAN, Really nice guy. I met him at a conference, and he was in the vendor area, and I was just talking his ear off about the copyright protection in Cobalt Strike and how easy it was at when it was version 3.5 or something to just open open a jar file and then navigate down and find a text file. It was an XML format or something, and change one thing, and then you had a trial that lasted 999 days instead of 99 days or something. It was a 3-month trial became that's a 10-year trial. And he's like, yeah, I know about that. Everybody knows about that. You're not special. But anyway, he's a good dude. I had a feel-good story in here. There was this woman on a plane, and she didn't know she was pregnant, and she started giving birth on the plane, and just so happened there were a bunch of NICU nurses on the same plane, and they handled the situation, and they helped deliver the premature child, which is pretty cool.
She didn't know she was pregnant. I was expecting to see someone much bigger than that when you scroll down.
I know. So this shit drives me insane here. I thought I had ad block on here or something, but I'm not seeing it. Where I have all these extensions and none of the one I want. uBlock Origin is what I'm looking for. I don't see why it's not in here. Anyway, regardless, you can still read the article if you just bypass their stupid bullshit. Normally I would just zap this. I don't know what I did that's making me miss it, but there's uBlock Origin. Why are you missing from my shit? uBlock Origin. And get it. And yep, Chrome Store. And it's on here. Why am I not fucking seeing it? Disabled. Well, enabled. Who the fuck told you to disable it? That's fucking Chrome for you nowadays. They'll just disable your ad blocker without telling you for no reason. And then you're like, oh, I have to enable it again? Well, screw you. uBlock Origin, let's give that a thing. All right, now we go back over to the article. Oh shit, it's closed down. 15. Oh, yeah.
You know what Hindu Spacey go oh, now I know what it says. Never mind. I'm not going to pronounce it, just in case. You know what they're talking about as far as joining the chat? They're trying to get on StreamYard. I don't know if they mean the chat as in what you have up on YouTube, or if they actually mean joining the stream.
I wasn't paying attention to the show to people. I have to unshare my screen to do that. Give me 1 second. Okay. I'd have to get my stream on. Hold on. Sooner now they're chatting. What's going on here? Okay. Huzzah. The big step up for them. Howdy. Technical operation. Hello. That's illegal territory there. Hello. Illegal ways. Lots of things. 10 years. New StreamYard chat program. I assume you on it now as we are chatting. You gotta select an account when you're gonna respond, man. Otherwise, you're responding from both our accounts, and it's confusing for people. Are you people asking if you can join me on the live stream? Question mark. Is that the question they're asking?
Oh.
And there's No response.
All right, let's get on with the show notes.
Yes, ma'am. So this woman did not know she was pregnant, and she got on the plane, and it's like, oh, they're in the air, man. We can't get down to go deliver a baby, but there happened to be these NICU nurses on there, and they all helped out, and they were able to deliver the baby on the plane safely.
Okay.
And this woman doesn't look like she had been pregnant to begin with, which is probably why she knows she's pregnant.
I've obviously never been pregnant, but I would think it'd be the kind of thing you would notice.
Yeah, I think if you're pregnant enough that you can deliver a baby, you should at least know the baby exists inside
Yeah,
of you.
even if you're a little pudgy and so forth. I mean, morning sickness and other things I think might strike him. I guess some people get that less than others.
So this is often due to a hormonal imbalance. It's often due to a hormonal imbalance. It's called a cryptic pregnancy. And the woman is pregnant, but she doesn't know until late into pregnancy or when she's already in labor. It happens in 1 in 400 pregnancies.
Okay.
So luckily the NICU team was there. They happened to be able to help her out, and there's the baby. Oh, you guys can't see my screen anymore because I stopped sharing my screen, so that's not helpful to you at all. Share screen.
All right. I don't know how without sending it out to the entire chat. I'm not sure how to give it to just.
You can just read me what people are saying because I can't hear them because I have to. If I open that tab, I can't share my screen.
I know. Okay.
Right. There were, of course, a viral TikTok that has been compiled of a live birth in the air via, of course, why not put your live birth on TikTok? Because that's just what you do now. Hey, Jude. All these comments, there's literally nothing here that's worth an article. It's like, okay, some people made a TikTok about it, but then they don't link the TikTok. You're not going to link the video. What the hell's the point of putting an article about the video? That's just stupid. And we should feel bad for checking that out. All right, so that's our feel-good story of the week. And after that, we have the fake Telegram installer I found. We got
when I hear the term emotional intelligence, the first thing I think of is someone's making up for the fact they're not good at math. I usually think when I hear emotional intelligence, I think instantly that there's some bullshit coming my way.
Usually, I would agree. So let's see what the article has to say.
Hey, what do you think about me just putting the link in the chat for to join?
You can do that.
Right. Is that promoter in your area, or is it someone else?
There you go.
Do you hear a motor sound? Oh, wait, no, it can't be Delchi. He doesn't. It's
always Delchi. He's muted. Hey, Delchi, how you doing, bro? You're not muted no more. Okay. So, as far as emotional intelligence goes, why emotional intelligent minds embrace the 3-question rule. A few seconds can make a huge difference. I was watching an interview with the comedian Craig Ferguson several years ago, and he said something I've never forgotten. There are 3 things you must always ask yourself before you say anything. Does this need to be said? Does this need to be said? Jesus Christ, Delchi. Muted again. Does this need to be said by me, or does this need to be said by me now? Ferguson said it took him 3 marriages to learn that lesson. Of course, Ferguson's goal was to get a laugh, but let me tell you something. This brilliant tool will immediately sharpen your emotional intelligence. In fact, I use this rule every single day of my life. Once you practice a bit, it only takes a few seconds to go through these questions in your mind. To illustrate, you're at the office supply store. Someone unintentionally cuts you off. You're tempted to give them a piece of your mind. Does this need to be said? Nah, forget about it. Or, all right, does someone you know try to provoke you on social media? You're tempted to end them with your superior snark or spend hours debating them on a topic they prove they obviously know less than you about. Does it need to be said? No way. Move on and focus on more important things. Or you get home from work and you want to tell your spouse something came up and you've got to cancel your dinner plans for the weekend, but you notice they've had a really bad day. Does this need to be said? Yeah, for sure. Does it need to be said by me? Definitely. Does it need to be said by me now? Nope. Better wait till they're in a better mood and you got a plan to make it up to them. As you can see, the quick mental dialogue is a lifesaver. It helps you avoid saying things you wish you could take back. But at the same time, it encourages you to actually speak up when it's the right thing to do. Thoughts, questions, comments, deliberations, Delchiisms.
All right.
That's what snoring will put on Delchi. Because
I think we can all agree with Delchi on that.
Delchi is snore, man. You snore. We love you, but you're snoring. I'm muting you again. Okay. I guess I'm so boring that Delchi just fell asleep. Okay. So that's the post on emotional intelligence. Does anybody have anything they would like to comment? Who says you come off as fake and manipulating doing that kind of thing? What do you mean you come off fake and manipulative trying to do that kind of thing there, Dickie? Explain it to me. All right. Gets used in many different fields. Doesn't seem to be an agreement in the neuroscience. By pausing, you skill. So by taking time to think about how I'm going to respond to somebody saying something, I'm coming off fake and manipulative. You're saying. I guess that could definitely. I guess if I asked somebody like an upfront question and they just didn't say anything for a few seconds, I'd probably be like, are they just lying to me? Yeah, you're probably right. Possibly. Or the world will never know. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? The world may never know.
Okay.
And last but not least, we've got these really weird freaking jumping worms now. Yep. Jumping worms. That's what we're ending our cast on. They reproduce without mating. They are rapidly chewing through soil across the U.S., but there's a lot we don't know about these jumping worms. Freaking jumping worms.
Like how far can they jump?
Tiny, wriggling horrors that are hatching right now under our feet. Not the billions of cicadas emerging through the U.S. We're talking about these baby invasive crazy worms that thrash through a garden, farm, city, and forest, growing 3 to 6 inches in length, sucking up all the nutrients, transforming rich leaf litter into coarse droppings, and all while laying nearly 20 hardy wood worm cocoons a month. And they don't need a mate. They can do it. Just one of them can reproduce. They're variously known as jumping worms, snake worms, Alabama jumpers, Jersey wrigglers, or also known as Amethnias species. And they're a superpowered version of the more familiar, squishy, languid of the garden variety Eastern European earthworms. These little bastards can, just one can lead to a full-blown infestation. They can decimate the topsoil. Perhaps no wonder jumping worms have been invading the internet too. You can see hundreds of them massing together, eliciting squeals of either horror or delight. Yuck. Oh, so much yuck. Guys, you can't see my screen right now. Be grateful. But now I'm going to make you look at it because it's gross. So let's share the screen. And now you guys have to see this crap. So these worms are... This is not the worms. These are the worms. They are gross. Look at them. they're all jumping like fucking worms on meth. And I would not want to see those stupid worms. I'd be like, what the hell is wrong with those worms? They raise not only the frequent disgust of gardeners, but also serious concern for land management. By churning through such high volumes of surface mulch and litter, these worms tie up plant-friendly nutrients into dry castings, which are then washed away. They can physically undermine plants by losing the topsoil. And then hundreds of them, when they're at work, they multiply quickly, and they make it less able for the soil to retain moisture. They also eradicate other earthworms that they come in contact with. And time to panic, because we don't know much about these other than the fact that they're self-fertilizing. They are very vigorous. They have prolific digestive habits, meaning they eat freaking everything. And it's true that they are changing the landscapes that they enter. And some researchers say that these jumping worms, we need to learn more about them because they're going to destroy freaking everything. Once European earthworms were considered an invader in North America when they arrived in the 1600s, but these are much worse. These things eat like all the nutrients in the soil, and then they die, and then you like wash them away, and then like the soil nutrients are all gone. Like they just make places unable to grow shit. They're getting worse. They're gross, and I don't know. Be afraid of the jumping worms. Be very afraid. Is what my takeaway is. And then stop screen sharing. There we go. Danger spaghetti. Old issue.
All right. Oh, everyone joining.
Oh, look, somebody's here.
Before we close up, let's say
Hey, man, what's up?
how's it
Hey,
going?
dude, what's up?
What's up, man? Good.
Nicotine? Is that what it's supposed to be?
Nixotine.
Nicotine. Ah. What's up, Nicotine?
Nothing much. I just saw the stream. I'm like, hey, man, I gotta join this shit someday. I've been watching y'all for a while.
Yeah? You like what you see?
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Is Adrian your favorite? Adrian seems to be everybody's favorite. I'm never the favorite.
I remember watching some of his old streams. Or old DEFCON talks and ShmooCon talks and shit.
Yeah, Adrian's the man.
Yeah.
So, what do you do for a living? Nicotine?
Not much.
You hustling?
Wish I was.
Well, nice to meet somebody who watches the stream always. Fortunately, you joined pretty much right as we were about to end the stream. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was just about to be like, oh, and that's the show notes. And then I have nothing else to talk about. But we can bullshit for a while. I'm always down for that.
This stream's a bit shorter than usual then.
Yeah, we normally talk for a long, long time. But
Yeah.
to be completely honest, I ran out of topics to go through because I didn't spend a lot of time prepping this week for the cast like I normally do. Normally I'll put together like a whole bunch of cool shit to talk about. But this week I was like, yeah, I'm just going to hang out and like watch movies with Autumn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now is about the right time to do that.
It is nice out.
But no, I was kind of gonna correct you on your Cobalt Strike explanation, really.
Oh, please,
so-
by all means.
Yeah.
Tell me why Raphael Mudge's tool is not just an overlay to Metasploit framework, and the malleable C2 profiles are not something you could do on your own.
So, Armitage was written by Raphael Mudge.
Armitage is free.
That's a GUI overlay to the Metasploit framework. Cobalt Strike is its own thing. It's not a... See, Metasploit, that's an exploitation framework. Cobalt Strike is post-exploitation. It's mostly backdoors and shit for once you breach breach an org. That's what it's for.
What are the advantages if they're going to use, say, the beacon shell over a traditional interpreter shell?
So the beacon the Cobalt Strike beacon, it has things like malleable C2, so you can change the way it communicates with the command and control to avoid, I don't know, detection and things like that. But there's some. You also have like I think it's called beacon objects or something like that. But no, you can use beacon objects to load external things and through the Cobalt Strike beacon. Like say if you wanted to, like if you look at GitHub and look up Cobalt Strike beacon object or something like that, you basically use it to load things remotely. Like you could do things like loading Mimikatz, which I'm not sure, but doesn't the beacon already have like Mimikatz functionality? I don't remember. I've never really used it, but
if it's anything like the base interpreter shell, you can natively do. You might have to load prib first, but depending on how they're doing it, yeah.
No, I remember there's this other. I don't know if you've heard of it, but there's this other program that's like Mimikatz. It's called Lasagna or something like that. I've seen
like
people
Kiwi?
write. Huh?
Is that like Kiwi?
Oh yeah, it does pretty much the same thing. It's a bit different, but I've seen people write object files for that too on GitHub.
You seem to be pretty knowledgeable. Can you explain to me how Kerberos works? I've always kind of been like, I don't quite understand.
How what works?
Kerberos.
What works? Kerberos thing? I wouldn't know about that. I think it's Kerberos. That's for like authentication and things like that, right?
Right. It's a way you can leverage SPNs, service principal names, in Active Directory to get like administrative access to systems that normally you wouldn't be able to.
Fucking Active Directory has some Kerberos functionality, doesn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a Windows guy, so.
Windows guy?
More so, yeah. But if I remember correctly, Kerberos was written at MIT, right? And it's for like network authentication and things like that. It uses doesn't it use PKI?
It probably does use
Kerberos?
public key. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not positive, but probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't know much about it. I don't know if I could.
As
I
far
don't think I
as,
could explain Kerberosing to you.
I was just curious because you seem like a pen tester type dude, so I figured you might know it.
No, it's things like that interest me.
Yeah, I've seen a few talks on it, but it's something like I never really been completely able to wrap my head around how you'd actually do it. Same thing with like golden tickets in Active Directory.
Oh yeah.
And,
I think they're both kind of similar. It has a lot to do with like passing the hash and things like that.
I've done pass the hash when I had a hash that I couldn't crack, because you can do it with within
Active Directory. Yeah.
And also Responder has a tool to automatically pass the hash.
Yeah, with like LLMR poisoning.
Yeah, link local multicast name resolution shit. That's where it's at. Once you're in a local network,
it's kind of
you just run Responder.
It's like DNS, ain't it? It's like DNS for SMB
it's
shares.
Like DNS,
right?
But it's like a precursor to DNS. It's like your computer's going to ask the other computers near you first, where like, hey, do you know who so and so is in the broadcast traffic? And if you look in like Wireshark, you'll see it like, hey, who has whatever IP address? That's all LLMNR shit. And you can just lie and be like, yeah, I'm the file server, send me your hash.
That's a Windows. That's kind of more of a Windows thing, isn't it?
So Linux also does what's it called? Their own implementation of NetBIOS, which is similar.
I know PAM. PAM has Kerberos functionality and things like that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a Linux thing. PAM. It's I forget what it stands for. It's an acronym, but it basically has to do with a lot with like authentication and things like that too.
Yeah. They actually, somebody did a rewrite of Responder in pure PowerShell, and they called it Invay. And then you can just load Invay rather than having to like somehow get your Responder binary working on the Windows system. You can run it right in PowerShell.
Or like getting a proxy on that local network and then using
routing shit.
Networking magic, basically.
pivot fuckery, I like to call it.
Really? Yeah.
Pivoting fuckery. Yeah. There's also what's it called? Yeah, we do the reverse shell thing now. Like, nobody's gonna just get a regular bind shell anymore. Everyone's using a reverse shell or some variation of it.
No, bind shell. That's when you connect to the shell, ain't it? Yeah.
Right. Bind shell is like you open
Firewalls
a port on
and
the local
NATs.
machine and bind it, and then
Really?
return Whenever we're doing reverse shell now, if we bury the Papa shell, where they'll contact us. That way you can bypass any net.
Haven't we been doing reverse shell for like almost over a couple of decades now?
I'm old, man.
In the industry. No, I was just saying.
Yes, we have. But I was talking about the NAT problem when you're hacking the network and you the NAT shit, and like doing the reverse shell, just you'll get the NAT address on your end at least, and you'll be able to control the computer or wherever the fuck it is in the network without having to worry about that level of
port forwarding and things like that when it comes to reverse
port forwarding is
shells.
a pain in the fucking ass to do right. And
Oh,
if you're lucky enough to get SSH access, you can just tunnel through SSH and it's fucking easy. You know, you just do like a DOP and like a dynamic 8080 or something.
Yeah.
And then set that proxy to be your
basically
local,
dynamic port forwarding via SSH tunneling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what's up, Darren?
Hey.
Ho ho. Trump has got to go. No.
Man, you've only been in Is it Portland or Seattle? I can't remember now.
I'm in Portland. I'm in Portland. Yeah.
You dumb bastard.
What? I get to hang out with Antifas now.
You willingly moved to Portland.
What's wrong with Portland?
Where do you want me to
Living
start?
the dream of the 90s, huh?
Is the wind blowing on my mic? Can y'all hear that?
Nope.
Oh, okay, good. I heard somebody's computer. I don't know. It sounds like their CPU fan was going ham earlier. I don't know who that was, but
It's probably Delchi.
Anyway,
Yeah, it might have been me.
what were you going to say about Portland?
who, me?
Darren.
I mean, where to start with what's wrong with Portland? It's a crappy city full of shit, literal shit, full of terrible people. I mean,
I just think of the opening to Portlandia, you know, that whole dream of the 90s thing.
Yeah.
The music video. I mean, is that true? Is it really like that?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Oh, God. Just go onto YouTube and type in the dream of the 90s in Portland. You'll see what I mean.
So, I don't live in the part of Portland that you're probably thinking of. I have a zip code that's in Portland, but I'm across the bridge from all the crazy shit that's been going on. I'm in the suburbs.
Oh,
I'm
good.
15 minutes on the train thing they have here, which I think
I've
is called
heard
the
a thing or
Triangle,
two.
from the regular part of Portland. So I can go there when I want to. I was staying at this hotel in Portland before I had an apartment here, and it was called the Pineapple. It was Pineapple Rose Hotel or some shit like that. And it was in like downtown Portland by the water. And the first night I was there, I just went out walking, and about 4 blocks from the hotel, I ran into a whole crowd of people out in the street yelling and screaming. And I was like, what the fuck's going on over there? Let me walk over. And they had lit an old style television, like the CRT monitor type television, on fire somehow. And it was burning in the middle of the street. And I was like, what are these assholes doing? And they were all like doing their no justice, no peace chant. And they were taking the Segway scooters that are like by this company Lime and just like throwing them, and like it was chaos. And I was like, I'm gonna record this fire on the ground here, and some dude came running up at me. He's like, don't take out your phone, you're putting black and brown lives at risk. I'm like, how is filming this fire putting black and brown lives at risk? He's like, you might get their face. I'm like, well, what's to say that
Aren't they wearing masks?
a bystander like me? You know, what would be wrong with that? And he's like, you've been warned. Don't make me come back here. So I was like, I'm not dealing with this shit. I put my phone away. I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking deal with these crazy assholes. They're gonna fucking jump me or some shit. And I just walked away. They followed me for a block.
Which one of them was holding the conch shell?
The conch shell. Oh, good reference. Ooh.
Lord the Flies.
Yeah.
Yep.
I noticed a bunch of them walking around with hack RFs. I really want to know what the fuck they're doing. I saw somebody with the hack RF and the hack RF porta pack, and that's what piqued my interest. I was like, wait.
Oh no, you know.
Because I know you
They
can
were
put the
probably
habit
try-
somewhere on there.
They were probably trying to find stingrays or shit. Who knows?
Yeah. But like, I've had some
'Cause
experience with that porta pack. When I had it, I put the Havoc porta pack on there, and it would let you like do a square wave on any frequency you want, essentially jam any frequency you can think of, or like yeah. So that could be useful also. I think if like they know the cops are broadcasting, or you can like record an audio source from a channel and then play it back later on the same channel. So maybe
That's
like
another
record
thing.
the
They
police
could
going
have
somewhere and
been
then
a
like,
ghetto
play it back.
police scanner too.
Right,
been
so
a
I was
ghetto
thinking maybe
police
they were
scanner,
like
too.
recording the police and then like playing the police back at them to confuse them. It was like it looked like they were fucking around with that kind of shit.
Or they could have been listening to make sure like
You don't
the
need a
police
hacker
weren't
to listen.
fucking.
Hacker
No,
F
you
is
can
like
get like a.
$400. You can listen on a $29 dongle. You can listen on scanner radio on your phone. They don't have encrypted comms here.
I remember watching fucking YouTube videos back from when police comms weren't encrypted and all that. You just get like a Baofeng UV5R or a Yaesu VX7R or something like that, and you do a hard mod on it and get it to listen to frequencies that it normally shouldn't.
Yeah,
And of
they
course,
had
if you
that.
wanted to, you could also transmit too, since there was a transmit button on that fucker.
Nice. I remember with the MD380, there was a somebody made custom firmware for that, and they made an article in that that book that came out. It used to be a bunch of journals, POC or GTFO. It was in there, and it was a complete rewrite of the firmware where you could take this really cheap, like $40 Japanese radio, and you could give it a new GUI, and it now had the ability to transmit on like virtually any UHF or HF channel, and like you could. It was like a complete rewrite of the firmware for the device that the guy made, which was pretty neat.
I wouldn't know much about that stuff. I'm not really a hammy or anything like that.
I'm not either. I just found it fascinating.
Yeah, I know. I remember watching like Sammy Kemcar and things like that when he started hardware hacking.
Oh, I remember that. My
Watching
favorite
other
thing was the
channels
Open Sesame.
like that. Huh?
When Sammy did the Open Sesame.
Oh yeah, with that.
He took that
Maptile
IME
tool.
apart
Yeah.
and he made it. Yeah, new firmware on that. That was fucking cool.
Oh yeah.
You still can't buy one of those because like the whole market's saturated after he did Open Sesame. Like everybody bought them all.
Yeah, everybody bought them.
Yeah. But you know, there's this really cool project that I
A
backed.
significant portion of those people
soon.
probably car thieves.
Yeah, they call
Say
it
what?
Tamagotchi for hackers. And
Oh yeah, the Ponagachi. Yeah, I've heard of it.
yeah,
I'm not really.
Have you seen the dolphin?
Dolphin. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The Flipper
Are you
Zero.
talking
Oh,
about?
okay, yeah. I heard you mention the
Oh, okay,
Tamagotchi.
yeah, no.
No, the
the-
Flipper
the-
Zero is what
okay.
you're talking about. So
That's it. Flipper
I've
Zero.
seen that,
That's
too.
not out yet, but it's the production. I've seen some of the pre-production stuff, and it looks pretty solid.
I've seen stuff about the what's it called again? The
Flipper
Flipper Zero.
Yeah, Flipper
Yeah,
Zero.
I've seen a few things about that on Lane Chan, and I remember people talking about it on a thread, and they're like, "Yeah, like fuck that shit, you know, I'll just make a Ponagachi." You know what I'm saying?
Well, the Ponagachi is kind of limited though in what it can do by comparison. I had one. I tried to build one of those, and I got it halfway working, but I couldn't get it 100% working with the hardware I had on hand.
I'm assuming the
That's what I
Flipper
was
Zero is
doing, like,
probably going to use one of those. What are the ESP, whatever they're called?
Well, I was doing the
Yeah,
early version of Rolling
256.
Thunder when I first tried it.
Probably
Now I've
that's
got, like,
probably what I'm thinking about.
Yeah,
I'm on my
ESP
second.
266 Node MCU is pretty popular, but it doesn't use that.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
on
I
my
know because a
second
lot of things are
rebuild
using
of
that now when it comes to Wi-Fi hacking and things like that.
Yeah, this would be good at like a whole bunch of different kind of RF hacking, as well as some stuff with. You traditionally would use like a like when you're doing the Raspberry Pi shit and you're connecting to like a motherboard or something, using those weird ass cables.
Are you talking about like putting stuff in the GPIO pin?
Guys, I'm okay.
GPIO? Thank you. I don't know why the hell I forgot GPIO, but
I'm
yeah,
gonna mute myself and I'll catch you.
GPIO and the other shit. It does that too. I actually backed this and I moved, and I'm wondering if I'm still going to get mine because my my post office is not forwarding my mail. So.
I remember when the Node MCU got pretty popular. Back, what was it, like 2017
Definitely.
Yeah, and people were just like
really
making
neat.
Wi-Fi jammers and shit out of it. It was like, oh, look at me, I'm making this Wi-Fi jammer. And like, that's one channel. I forget what it's called. Yeah, that's really what it is. It's not a jammer. It's a deauthor. It's different. Yeah. But people were calling it a Wi-Fi jammer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Effectively.
When I was doing
that was back in
like,
my
that
was back in my skitty days when I was like when I thought shit like that was cool. And like I seen this is one guy, I forget his channel, what the channel's called, but he made one where he basically put one in a Zippo lighter or something like that. I was like, oh my god, I gotta do that.
Currently, I'm on like the second rebuild of Rolling Thunder, and I've now got full Kali Linux running. It's attached to my wheelchair with an
It's just a
Alpha
Raspberry
antenna.
Pi on your wheelchair. Come on, man.
It's what now?
The Raspberry Pi attached to your wheelchair.
Yeah, but it's running Kali Linux with an Alpha and with Pirate Box.
Okay.
So it's basically it's basically like Ware's distribution plus, deauthing and other stuff. The hard part is controlling it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to break it down to that,
Box?
it's more than just a Pi, though. I mean, it's a Pi with some pretty interesting software on it.
Isn't Pirate Box deprecated?
I'm not sure. I mean, it works well for me. I mean, it basically
I'm gonna
makes
pop a box on your box.
No,
like the
Pirate
software,
Box is
the
just
software
for like file
project.
distribution.
Yeah,
like,
I know what it is. It's for
Like people were building it inside of lunchboxes and shit and going out places and that. Man, that's what I did was I just put like movies and stuff on it and roll out somewhere. The thing for me is that nobody thinks that the guy in the wheelchair is the one, deauthing everybody or, putting up the movies and stuff. It's just like, they don't even think about it.
Uh-huh. Well.
I can't remember the last time I heard about like development on the Pirate Box software. Being stalled. Or it hasn't been worked on in a while.
I've heard it in a long time.
I grant you, okay, if you eat and drink this stuff on a daily basis, okay, yeah, this sounds like Mickey Mouse dog shit, but it was the first thing I ever did, with a Pi that was actually useful and did something.
Oh,
I was happy with it. It's easy to shit on something, but it's harder to actually do something.
I'm not busting your chops, dude. I'm not shitting on
anything.
Yeah, I was literally just busting your chops because it's fun for me. I'm not shitting on your project. I actually think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. If this were like 2004 or some shit, you could you could download LimeWire Pro with a LimeWire if I could distribute that.
LimeWire Pro. Let's go to eDonkey as well, or eMule.
Email.
eMule 2000. And Kazaa. And
I think they still use that on like I2P, Invisible Internet Project. I think. I mean, they have torrenting on there too, and that, I2P Snark, it has its own torrent client built into the I2P router. But I think a lot of people, I think they use Emule, the protocol on there too. It's somewhat popular on I2P.
yeah.
I don't know.
eMule.
I only tried out I2P a few times though.
Yeah, I used to have a friend who claimed that he was one of the I2P devs back in the day, and he was like, I left that project because everything that could go wrong with an open source project went wrong with that project. I'm like, all right, dude.
The only thing going wrong with it is adoption, really.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Because everybody's using Tor still.
Yeah, well.
And I mean, Tor is pretty good, I mean,
Tor is pretty good.
Although if you go on some of the popular forums on Tor, like Dread, which is like, basically like the Reddit of the darknet at the moment. Some people talk about I2P on there, and like, if anything happens with Tor, hey, we'll switch over to I2P, or let's mess around with I2P a bit and see, see if it suits some things better than Tor does. I mean, everybody knows you can torrent over I2P. That, and I'm sure a lot of people who I know on some Tor forums and things like that use I2P for torrenting instead of doing regular torrenting. But that's pretty much the only kind of recognition it gets amongst people who even know about things like that. Is like, oh, it's the overlay network that you can anonymously torrent on.
Yeah, what were you just talking about? A Reddit-like site called Dread? I hadn't heard of that.
You haven't heard of it? Huh.
No.
You're out of the loop,
is that
man.
like on the? Is it, no, I mean,
it looks like it looks a lot like it looks and functions a lot like Reddit actually. Mostly people go on there to talk. Mostly people go on there to talk about markets. Mostly, but basically it works like Reddit. You can make subdreads and things like that.
Oh shit!
To talk about whatever darknet topic you want to talk about.
Yeah, I found it. It's interesting.
You found
I'm
it?
definitely gonna sign it. Do they have accounts for it, or is it like accountless like 4chan?
Oh, you can read and everything on there without an account, but if you want to post, you'd make an account on there. And what you do, you just set you don't even need an email for it really. You just use a username and a password, and then like once you register, it'll give you a mnemonic key to save somewhere for account recovery. If anything should go awry with your access to various accounts, like if you lose your KeyPass database or something like that.
Ooh, that would be a nightmare.
I've done that once. Oh yeah, and I had encrypted drives that I could not recover because the key for those drives were stored on a KeyPass database.
Ooh.
On those drives. I kind of
Yeah, I
was like, God damn it!
The caps lock key was thwarting me at one point when I encrypted my drives. I didn't realize I had caps lock on when I booted because it didn't have that that little light inside on my keyboard. I had no idea it was on. I kept typing my freaking long ass multi-word password to boot my freaking box when I did FTE with Veracrypt, and like typing this long password is not working, and I'm freaking out because I want to
my drives. My drives were encrypted with Lux.
Lux. Well, that's because you're Linux, dude, so you're going to use Lux.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Or DM crypt, as it's more commonly referred to.
On BitLocker, because that's shit. So Veracrypt it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's based on TrueCrypt, and TrueCrypt is pretty fucking solid.
The U.S. government used TrueCrypt apparently.
It supports multiple encryption standards, so it makes sense.
Yeah, like Serpent, Two Fish, AES. Yeah, a bunch of others like
Blowfish.
I think one
which
of them's
wouldn't use.
like Blowfish. I think one of them was like the Cha-Cha Cipher or something like that. Didn't it
But you
use
can
that?
do variations thereof too. You can do like
Yeah,
serpent.
yeah, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Serpent, you could do like Serpent encryption, which like
Like Serpent and then
AES
Two Fish
encrypted
after it.
container wrapped up, inside it. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then you can have a hidden drive within that, and you can have like a drive within the drive, which
For
is
like
clever.
plausible deniability.
Like, yeah, I'll give you
That's
my
what a lot of
password,
people
and
like
you give them
to-
the password. Or
Yeah.
you can do a self-destruct password, which is also cool. So I'll
Oh,
give you
yeah.
the password, and when you give them the password, it self-destructs the drive when they type it in. It's all fun shit.
Yeah, right.
Man. All right,
I think
I'm
I've
gonna
used
cut
Veracrypt.
out.
Okay. My
I
battery's
got
about
some
to
stuff
die.
I gotta
anyways.
do. It was really nice meeting you, man, and
Yeah.
also chatting with the rest of you. And sorry again, Delchi, I didn't mean to shit on your Rolling Thunder project. I was just teasing you.
It happens, man. I'm
That's
used
an
to hearing it.
interesting name. Rolling Thunder.
I got to do something, man. I haven't left the house in 5 years. You got to do something.
Well, you should, leave the house. That'd be something you could start with.
Yeah, I'm still working on that. You got 30K to spare?
What do you need? An elevator to get out with your wheelchair?
No, I need a wheelchair van. The best deal I can get is like 30K.
You could do what the poor people do and just take public transport that has wheelchair stuff.
Yeah, well, the problem with that is public transport meets the absolute bare minimum of ADA requirements, and the people who operate it are not even trained that well. And out here, public transport is too small for my chair. Number one, and number two, when they try to hook it up to the safety equipment, they break it every time. And I mean,
Oh,
like
wow.
they've broken tension springs and snapped off shit that I've had to have repaired. And the local government paratransit is underfunded. They haven't had their wheelchair lift serviced in like 5 years. So they usually break going about halfway up. And you're either stuck at a 20-degree angle and you're going to fall on your face, or you're just ultimately fucked. And the local taxis, they claim to have handicap service, but it's basically a Prius with a ramp stuck on it with some tack weld. And if you're more than 6 foot tall, you're fucked.
They have a thing by me where I used to live called Able Ride that was run by the TSA. Not the TSA, I'm sorry, the MTA. And Able Ride would be like if you qualify for disability of any kind, you could get on Able Ride, and then you could literally have like an Uber equivalent thing, or not really that good, but you have to give them a few hours and then tell them where you're gonna need to go and where you get picked up from, and they send out this huge ass van that has like a wheelchair van on it, and it comes pick you up.
That's what I was just talking about. Out here, they have that, but you're totally right. You can get stuck on that thing for 4.5 hours, and then if they show up to pick you up, it's like I got stuck in a parking lot of a dentist's office for 3 hours one night waiting for them to show up. And I'm talking like 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Oof, that's tough.
And the guy who was driving the thing could barely drive, sanely. He had this herky jerky step on the gas thing, and people were like throwing up and stuff from getting motion sickness.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I mean there are some really good programs out there. They're just not in Vegas.
Gotcha. Well, I need to get running. You guys take it easy. It's been great catching up, and next week I'll try and get more stuff.
Rock and roll.
All right, rock and roll. It's awkward. I hit the end broadcast button.